June 22nd, 1941. As dawn breaks, over 3 million German soldiers poured across the border into Soviet territory. Operation Barbarossa is launched.
It's the biggest invasion force in the history of human warfare. It's just so vast. It's difficult to get one's mind around it.
If you just take the Eastern Front, it's like trying to invade the United States from San Diego to Seattle. It is, by itself, the largest war that's ever happened. That's crazy.
It's 3,000 tanks, 2,700 aircraft, another 7,000 artillery pieces, 600,000 vehicles. It is massive on a scale no one else has ever seen before.
All right, that's Paul Robeson, 1949, in the Soviet Union. The very beginning is a piece from a documentary on the invasion of Russia, the unprovoked invasion of Russia, the Soviet Union by the Nazis. Okay, and then the Robeson part is after the Russians and the Soviet Union had destroyed Nazism in Europe, for the most part. Seems to be rearing its ugly head again. You know what I mean? Especially with Friedrich Merz in charge. But we'll talk about that with our guests. We have coming up Dmitry Polyanskiy, who is the ambassador to the OSCE. All right, it's a big acronym for me. Coming up from Vienna, or he's on the road, we have Dmitry, and then we have Andrei Martyanov, the historian. 4 great books you should all read, and then Larry Johnson. You all know Larry Johnson, all right? Reggie, we had a great time with Larry Johnson last week, didn't we?
That was 2 weeks ago. But
2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
we didn't talk about it last week. It wasn't
right.
there. All right, so that's about it. Things are escalating in Europe, and you know what? We may all die soon. But at any rate, with a nuclear blast. All right, so Andrei is there. Andrei, what was Paul Robeson singing there? Is that like a patriotic song from World War II?
I mean, it's sort of rise up, working people and things of this nature. So but this is by far not the most important song. The most important song in Russian history, probably one of the most important, is the Rise the Country.
All right.
Rise the West Country. That is the thing which it is enormously powerful. And that was, the fact is, it was originally conceived, I believe, originally was something like this, was conceived for the World War I, actually.
Oh, I see.
But,
maybe, Reggie, you can find that somehow, right? But that was Paul Robeson there. Paul Robeson was there. You know why? And he was.
I know who Paul Robeson was.
Yes, he was loved. He was loved by the Soviet people, and he loved that country. And they really, said, look at this guy. In America, he was treated like dirt, like the Germans viewed Russians. Untermenschen.
He was black. he was black, and yes, it was the time when the United States actually had issues with all that. So, and yeah, but he was extremely popular in the Soviet Union. But he also he was not ignored in the United States. I believe he was in the couple of Hollywood movies, I
Yes,
believe.
early on. But I got to tell you, after he went to the Soviet Union, he came back. He lost his. He lost his passport and couldn't travel anymore.
Yeah.
He got beaten up and assaulted when he tried to sing up in Peekskill, New York. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So at any rate, but he was welcome, and he always said it. He says, they never treated me badly over there. I wish they would treat me as nicely and as courteously, with as much courtesy as they do in Russia here in the U.S. All right. Larry Johnson, I'm going to go to you. I saw you this morning talking about the escalation. I said, are we like... have the Nazis like reared their ugly head again in Western Europe and ready to attack Russia?
Well, the Russians, let's go back to the speech that Vladimir Putin gave Tuesday to the cadets graduating from the military schools, intelligence schools, and police, anything dealing with Russian security. And he specifically brought up Operation Barbarossa and how what we're seeing today are parallels to what led up to that invasion.
How's that?
The talk of the West, particularly making preparations for war, overtly talking about war with Russia, and then, as it was at the time with the Soviet Union, making accusations, accusing the Russians basically of the things the West is doing.
Right.
But I think that his central message to the cadets, the graduating cadets, will soon be junior officers throughout the Russian military intelligence establishment, is that Russia is now prepared. It's not going to be caught unawares. It's not going to be caught sitting back and hoping that it doesn't happen. That they have to be prepared now, recognize that it's likely to happen, which is, it's really a sort of remarkable shift in his commentary. But there is, I think, no other way to look at it, that the West is hell-bent on going to war with Russia.
Right.
And they're going to find out, much to their chagrin, that was a bad decision.
Right. Andrei, you hear a lot of trash talk, brazen trash talk from Zelensky. What is he like, snorting a lot of cocaine, or does he actually think that he's winning a war against Russia?
No, he is snorting a lot of cocaine because evidently somebody begins to deliver him some news, and he is very scared. And one of the reasons he is very scared because he also follows the news, obviously. He can read, And there is a lot of statements now coming from Russian top military political talk that essentially he is disposable, he is illegitimate anyway, so essentially he represents no value anymore for Russia as any kind of figure. And again, as Larry correctly stated, we cannot just single out the fact that it is special military operation and something happens, which it happens every day, including today with Russia advancing westward. It is about NATO. It is about the possibility of the war. And so Zelensky understands in the larger scheme of things, the best outcome for him will be to disappear somewhere. He probably will not be even able to use his billions or whatever he stole because he will be found out and he will be killed.
Right.
And if he wouldn't be found, he wouldn't be basically taken out by some Russian side, let's put it this way, there are many people in Ukraine who have a lot of scores to settle with him.
Right.
So it's not like he, escapes if some, CIA plane takes him out of the Borispol airport, flies him to Miami, and he, enjoys the rest of his life, living off the, earning 10% or whatever. No, he is a dead man walking, and you can see on him, he is absolutely a, physical wreck. And yes, he snorts a lot.
Right. Well, I know. I was in show business, and it was always around me, so I know all the moves. You know what I mean? Of people that use a lot of cocaine. Believe me, it was all over the place in the 70s and 80s. Larry, are we effectively, not we, is Russia at war with NATO and the U.S.? Effectively at war right now, or is it still like a special military operation contained in the Ukrainian eastern territory?
Well, let me ask you, what do you mean by at war?
What do I mean at war? They're fighting NATO. They got NATO. You got Germany. You got France. You got the Storm Shadow missiles hitting an interior of Russia. You've got these drone strikes in Moscow. They're hitting.
Okay. So I think what you meant to say is NATO at war with Russia.
That's what I meant. All right, yes. Okay. But Russia's not at war with NATO yet.
Has Russia decided to reciprocate yet? No. And that is on the table. That is behind the warnings that Foreign Minister Lavrov has issued. And frankly, what Vladimir Putin has said, that we're reaching a stage where Russia is going to have no choice but to retaliate militarily against factories and military installations in places like Romania, Poland, Germany, the UK. If these attacks continue, then Russia is going to have no choice. Just in the same way that if the Sinaloa cartel or the Gulf cartel were launching drone and missile attacks into the United States, not just like into border towns like McAllen and Brownsville, but say San Antonio and Austin and Albuquerque and Phoenix. And we determined that those missiles and drones are being supplied by Russia or China, as well as the intelligence with the coordinates for where to hit. The United States would be going to war with Russia and China.
Right. Exactly.
Not just the Sinaloa cartel. So this has gotten very dangerous right now, extremely dangerous, because this is, if you're going to ask to compare between Iran and the Gulf or this is the one most likely to escalate into a
I heard you say that, and you mentioned Lavrov's the day after the anniversary of Operation Barbarossa, 85-year anniversary. He had this press conference, and I want to play. Reggie, can you play that Lavrov, just a little excerpt from it? And hold on, Ambassador, because I want you to comment after we play this.
Yesterday we marked a tragic date for our country, 85th anniversary of the attack by the Nazi Germany against our country, against the Soviet Union. The enemy was crushed, but as we can see, they did not learn this lesson. It is of concern the sentiments of the current European elites. Now they again want to defeat our country, and Berlin is leading this movement. They remilitarize the European Union, and they officially declare the plan to turn the German army once again into the strongest army in Europe. And once again is very indicative phrase in this context. We know against whom they are going to use these forces, these German troops. As the head of Luftwaffe recently stated, German aviation is ready to confront Russia today. And the current elites in Europe, they do not hide that they are preparing for the war against us in the immediate future. They are saying that it will happen no later than 2030, but the most important is the essence of this, and they declared one important fact. The Netherlands is preparing to establish camps for the Russian prisoners of war in their territory in case the war between us happens. Basically, they are reintroducing the concentration camps that Germany installed in Europe during World War II.
How did things ever get so far, Ambassador Polyanskiy?
Hi, Randy. Hi, Andrei.
Did you hear my question?
Hi, Dmitry.
Let's everyone
Yes,
say
I'm-
hello to each other. Larry,
Larry, hello.
Hey, man, how are you? It's good to hear you.
All right. So,
Yeah.
were you able to hear the piece from that press conference by Foreign Minister Lavrov?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I asked, how did things spiral out of control to the point that we are now?
Well, this was a very emotional press conference by Minister Lavrov, I think, and he connected all the dots because the information that we have and what we feel here in Vienna in OSCE is that these countries have absolutely rejected any attempts to reach any deal, to use diplomacy. They bet only on defeating Russia, on inflicting a defeat to my country with the hands of Ukrainians. And the masks have been taken off for quite a long time. And that's why I think Minister is very blunt about it. Yes, we see Europe preparing for war with us. Of course, we need to take it into account and to make necessary preparations. That's the only way how it develops, and they need to be aware about it. There are no more childish games. This is very serious things that is happening right now. I myself, when I speak here at the OSCE, I try to raise awareness of this situation to everyone and to explain that we are very, very far away on this slippery slope, which will potentially bring us to the abyss of the new war. So there are no games about this anymore. This is very serious, and the European elites seem to be very stubborn, and they are sleepwalking the whole continent into the spiral of the new war. And this is the reality that we face here.
Andrei, I'm going to, Dmitry only has 20 minutes, so I'm going to give both you guys a chance to ask him questions. You go first, Andrei.
No, Dmitry, I mean, the question is essentially what we heard from Sergei Viktorovich Lavrov and, well, from your constant, basically trying to convince those, well, I'm not going to be using this terminology about Europeans, but there was an issue raised about the Organization of Security and Cooperation in Europe, which is anything but security and cooperation in Europe. And is obviously this directly relates to your position as the permanent representative, the ambassador to this organization. What is your estimate or assessment of the future of this organization?
You are absolutely right to indicate that there is no more cooperation and no more security issues discussed here. OSCE is now being monopolized by NATO countries and EU countries, and they are using it as an instrument in the hybrid war against Russia. For us, this is nothing but a trench, very important trench where we sit, where we can see the enemy from around us, and where we can at least try to explain something, present our positions. It's very unpleasant because during the meetings you are facing a number of voices, absolutely stubborn, absolutely unrealistic, repeating one and the same thing: Russia, 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 Russia should, Russia must, it's all Russian blame, and so on and so forth. This is unpleasant, and you need to have very strong nerves to face it. But after New York, I don't think it's a problem for me to be there, and at least they have to listen. So I present the facts, I make our position clear, and they have to listen. And I know that they report it to the capitals, and that's on one of the very few channels where they actually listen to us, because we don't have any bilateral communications in the capitals anymore. Ambassadors are not welcome their level to the ministries, and there can be one meeting during 1 year if it's about London or Berlin or whatever. This is absolutely abnormal. There are no channels of communication. So OSCE remains one of the very scarce channels of communications that we have there. Though it's very handicapped, it's very perverted because they are attacking us. And there is no dialogue, which was supposed to happen at this organization, and that's actually its only function. And at the same press conference that you played to us, Randy, Sergei Lavrov was very blunt about OSCE as well. He said that the organization is half dead. I absolutely concur to this. I think it's really half dead, and it's the chances of its survival are very slim, because so far the Western countries are absolutely not displaying any will to the dialogue, and this organization is for dialogue. This organization is for security discussions. There are a number of very important tools which are being neglected right now, a number of very important treaties that are idle. There is no trust, there is no transparency anymore in the military planning. It's very serious, and of course OSCE can do a lot of things about it, ideally. But in practice, it is being monopolized, abused, and used by the West just as another tool in the hybrid war with Russia. That's the reality.
Larry.
Hey, Mr. Ambassador, so good to hear your voice. Question is,
Pleasure is mine, Larry.
what were Russia's expectations coming out of the Anchorage summit with President Trump, and what has happened to now that not effectively, both Foreign Minister Lavrov and Yuri Ushakov have both said, hey, the Anchorage process is dead. What does that mean?
Well, I don't think they are saying it so bluntly that the Anchorage process is dead, because for us, we still expect the United States to deliver, because there was a proposal from them in Anchorage, a proposal that we accepted, and it was a very serious, I would say, compromise from our part. Americans promised to deliver, and now they are starting, if we listen to Rubio, to say that, well, there was not any proposal, there was just discussion, and with hinting that you shouldn't expect anything from Anchorage. I think we've been there at the beginning of the 90s when there were discussions about what the West will do in return for the steps the Soviet leadership was making to dismantle the Eastern Bloc, the Warsaw Treaty Organization, and these were just lip service, empty words, and we know that nothing came out of them. Unfortunately, I think Russia now is the only country which believes in noble diplomacy, where where words matter, where people, if they make commitments, they deliver. Everything seems very shallow and very unreliable right now. And unfortunately, Americans so far are not confirming the understandings that were reached in Anchorage. Again, Rubio is one thing, but I think very important is what President Trump will say, because this is personal diplomacy, personal chemistry that they had in Anchorage. And they met halfway there, so it's up to President Trump, of course, to clarify his positions. Yes, we are disappointed. Yes, we expected that Americans, and we still expect that Americans will come to their senses and do what they promised us to do. But, well, in any case, we know that we can rely first and foremost on ourselves, on our army, on our fleet, and we are continuing our special military operation, and I'm absolutely sure that all the goals of this operation will be implemented, be it diplomatically or militarily or otherwise. I have absolutely no doubts about this.
All right, Andrei.
Dmitry, it's the question which I wanted to ask you is, do you have any military personnel, the officers, who also support you in explaining to Europeans what's going to happen to them? I'm talking about Russian armed forces, obviously, diplomatic people of the military rank.
No, unfortunately, I think that now you can see it only in the Hollywood movies, military people speaking to military people and trying to avert crisis. First of all, there are no military people from us there for two reasons. First and foremost, there is nothing to discuss because all the instruments have been dismantled. Secondly, the visa policies of European countries. they are exerting enormous pressure on us, and our personnel has very big problems in rotation exercises and everything. So even if they just notice any reference to military background of anyone, any entry will be barred for sure. So we're not yet there, and I don't think that they are rendering account to the fact that military people, of course, should speak to each other, and Vienna has always been a very important platform for such discussions for decades. It was emblematic for such dialogue. It's no longer so, unfortunately, Andrei.
Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, Dmitry, if Russia's able to confirm what's being reported in the press in the West, that namely Trump has decided to start providing Ukraine with intelligence and with weapons that are being used to attack Russia, how do you think, what is going to be your reaction, or have you already received instructions about how to react to this?
To be absolutely frank, Larry, I don't think he ever stopped providing Ukraine with intelligence. The moments when he stopped, Ukraine was suffering terrible losses, and the army was absolutely disoriented. Remember when Starlink was disconnected and the Ukrainians were in panic. So they heavily rely on intelligence, and intelligence is being provided for them, unfortunately, also for selection of targets within Russia, and of course we understand that this continues. As for the weapons, I think that we now face not direct deliveries of U.S. weapons, but they just sell it to European Union. They get money for this, but it's still American ammunition and equipment coming to Ukraine. The issue is that for them a big problem is also the scarcity of this equipment, because they don't have enough of military materials for Ukrainians, not enough weapons. That's something that they acknowledge. Otherwise, we have absolutely no illusions that United States is still there. It's very hard, in the capitalist world, when it's about arms cartels who are gaining enormous profits. It's very difficult to stop them, actually. I don't know even what is the tool of stopping them. They are becoming richer and richer every day, and they don't care about Ukraine. They don't care about Russia. They don't care about Trump. They have their own agenda. And I don't know, it should be really very serious efforts, meaningful efforts to stop this spiral, and we're not yet there.
They're getting richer and we're getting poorer. I just took the subway here, and I got to tell you something. And I drive.
You're a risky man. You're a risky man.
I know. I mean, there's
New York.
subway in New York. I got to get Andrei out here to take the subway so he can see it.
No,
firsthand.
thank you. I would rather stay away from JFK, which I hate, than the New York subway.
All right.
You have good instincts, Andrew.
No, listen, if you like rats, okay, you could say it's a zoo down there because there's a lot of rats of different sizes, and there's they're so filthy. I was in Moscow 3 years ago. Larry, I don't know if you took the subway, but they're so clean. Each place you can eat off the floor. Each subway stop, it looks like our good station at Grand Central. All right, that's a beautiful station, Grand Central. But I used to say it's like every stop there, every subway station in Moscow looks like the Taj Mahal. So, Andrei, I'm sure you have another query for the ambassador.
No, I mean, essentially, Dmitry answered my follow-up question about any kind of military contacts. And, basically, that's my conclusion. It's not query. Dmitry just will have to confirm basically what it was all about in terms of my questions, that essentially OSCE or OSCE essentially is a done deal, I think, in the nearest future.
Right. What about the United Nations?
Sorry?
What about the United Nations?
Oh, God. That's Dmitry's prerogative. He knows way more about it than I ever will.
All right. Well, I saw the Ambassador Vasily, and so did Larry a couple of weeks ago, and we had a very nice chat with him. So what's the mood right now, Ambassador Polyanskiy, in Russia? I mean, It's nothing but civilian targets that are being hit. It's basically a terrorist war that's going on by the West. Ukraine is their puppet that they use, and they like went through 2.1 million Ukrainians have died fighting essentially for the West. 2.4. Wow. Dmitry.
Yeah, but well, the mood in Russia, I would say, it's opposite of what people in the West might imagine to be. If you read Western newspapers and if you watch news and TV, we should have been already revolting against Putin because we're living in poverty and we do not agree with what our government is doing. But the case is absolutely opposite. I'm not saying that it's not sensitive, all these attacks, but I think that they just reinforce the resolute of our people and its desire to kind of do away with this enemy at our borders, with this hornet's nest, neo-Nazi hornet's nest, because we understand that there will be still problems coming for there. If we do not solve these problems, then our children or maybe grandchildren will have to face it, and we just can't stop doing it. We had some hopes pinned on Americans, on Trump. I feel that these hopes are waning right now. I'm not saying that the spirit of Anchorage has evaporated completely, but of course, it's more a talk in the town about the spirit than the spirit itself. But my country, of course, is facing a big threat, maybe existential threat, and we will do everything in our capacity to win, to make Ukraine normal and sane again, to have back our peace-loving neighbor with whom we signed treaties at the beginning of the 90s, which was guaranteeing its no-block status and all these rights for Russian speakers and so on and so forth. That's what we want to see, nothing on top of this. And we will, I think, everybody understands that regardless of the problems that we face now, regardless of all these terrorist strikes, we need to be stronger, we need to take the upper hand, and we need to defeat this enemy once and for all.
Larry?
Well, I have a very important question. In Vienna, do you prefer the gelato or the Vienna sausages?
I think there is no contradiction if you first have sausages and then gelato, and also in Verlängerter in between. No, Vienna is a very nice city, really. It's far cry from Moscow, of course, but it's also very different from New York. I enjoy it here, and it's very European, classic, imperial. I would say it's quite clean. The subway is clean, so Randy, if you come here and if you will be looking for rats, you may be having problems in finding them. I haven't seen a single one here.
I'd have to go to JFK to get there. That's the only problem, But I'd love to go to Vienna. It's beautiful, I hear, and So what happens if they just close down that organization? Do you move on, or are you planning to stay there for a while and rekindle the spirit?
I don't think they will close down this organization. There was a talk of us withdrawing from this organization, but I don't think it will be a right move. And Minister Lavrov confirmed it, that it's not the right move, because we will be maybe the only ones who withdraw, and they will continue without us. We still... At some point, I think there will be a need for some regional European organization dealing with security issues, and I don't think that anything better than OSCE will be created, because OSCE, frankly, has everything it needs. It has all the toolbox. It has all the documents. All the right words have been said. If you look there are documents about indivisible security. There are documents about human rights, about rights of minorities, language rights. Everything is there. They just don't want to activate this language. They use it very selectively, and they use it against Russia. That's only policy that they can invent, and that's the problem. So OSCE, as such, classical OSCE, is something that we need. But OSCE, in the way it was I don't know, spoiled by the West or abused by the West. This is something that is really not helping anyone.
All right. By the way, another paper you want to stay away from is the Moscow Times, which is a misnomer. Where is that from, by the way, Andrei? The Moscow Times. I heard you talking about it.
Oh my God! It was probably, I don't remember the genesis of it. I believe it was. Do you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay. For some reason, it showed my internet. But point is, it was the all this pro-Western, uber-liberal, what is called.
There goes your internet.
From 1990s, if you wish. Rag. Yeah, do you hear me?
Yes, you're back. Yes, you're good.
Yeah, it was the rag essentially, and still is, and it was always controlled by, for example, like Michael Baum. Okay, he was from whatever the organizations from Carnegie to whatever the American press. It is utterly Russophobic and anti-Russian, and so yeah, I believe they are allocated now. Part of it is in Baltic states.
Right, Larry, take over. You want to ask him about cuisine?
And another is.
We keep losing you, Andrei. So it's amazing. We get better reception in Vienna than we do in Seattle.
So I'm in Austrian mountains right now. Maybe that's why the connection is better. I don't know.
You're high in the mountains. All right. Zelensky's is high wherever he is. All right, go ahead.
I was just going to say that when we look at the OSCE is sort of a legacy system, and I think we're right now in the midst of a dramatic global transformation. Let's call it the rise of a new international political, economic, and even military order, and that two events have accelerated this in the last 4 years. First was the special military operation and the ensuing sanctions on Russia, then accelerated the partnership between Russia and China in developing BRICS and developing the economic and financial infrastructure in BRICS, which is really not right now coming into fruition. And then I noticed that when the Iranian foreign minister Arakchi made his trip to Moscow about 2 months ago, and after his meeting with President Putin made a note of the need for a new security architecture in the Persian Gulf. A week later, Foreign Minister Wang Yi of China, after meeting with Arakchi, said almost the exact same words as President Putin, and so I didn't take that as a coincidence. I took that as sending a message to the world. Now what we are seeing emerge in the Persian Gulf, with Pakistan acting as, I will call them, sort of a front man for China and for Russia, is taking the lead in creating this new security infrastructure for the Persian Gulf. So what do you think would replace the OSCE when this UN system dies and this new international system comes into its full effect?
Is it a question to me?
Yes,
or
of course. Not to me. Yes. It's like he's speaking Hungarian to me right now. So go ahead. It's
Sorry. Well, I don't think that if we try to replace OSCE with something new right now, when we don't know what will be the final destination of this transformation of international relations, of the system of international relations, I don't think we will do a good job, because we don't know the parameters. So it would be wise to wait until the moment when we come to certain rock bottom, where we would say, yes, now we can build the new system of international relations that will last for decades, for many years, and that will be fair and sustainable. So far, of course, every international organization is in crisis. UN is in crisis. OSCE is almost non-existing. Only such organizations which are based on goodwill, like BRICS, like Shanghai Cooperation Organization, like CSTO, like CIS, they have all the means to survive and all the reasons to be strong. But universal organizations, they all face crisis because of the actions of the West, because the West doesn't want to lose its dominance in world affairs. Americans still want to be the world policeman, maybe not the world policeman right now, but policeman in most international places, like in Western Hemisphere, in Far East. In Europe, it's questionable right now, but still, they of course play a role. They don't want to lose the dominance. They don't want to have any changes materialize, and that's the reason. That's the reason of this profound crisis of the system of international relations. It's not the right moment to think about something new, because we will never agree anything, and the West will always try to undermine all our proposals that would be aimed at creating something fair and something sustainable.
Right. I want to ask you about what is the motivation? I know it's fueled by Russophobia, but that's not the only reason why Western Europe is after Russia. Is it really they want to carve it up and turn it into like 80 different states and pick it apart? Is it really predicated on avarice and jealousy? What is the overall reason, do you think, or that why the West and I guess the U.S. Are engaged in this kind of war of whatever it is, this hybrid war, this attacks? I mean, what is their ultimate aim? What is the strategy here, and what's the basis behind it?
Well, there can be different answers to this question, I think. It depends on the viewpoint that you have. And Russophobia, as you know, survives decades, if not hundreds of years, and that's why it's a very ancient, I would say, phenomenon that now takes different forms. So I believe, my personal belief is that this feeling is being driven by enormous jealousy to our country, which possesses big landmass and which has a lot of natural resources that the others want to take into their hands. And it happens throughout many generations. And now I can only refer to the words of Kaja Kallas, the current head of EU diplomacy, who directly said that Russia is too big and Russia should be split into 5-6 states, which would be easier to deal with for the West. So all these ideas are still there. And of course, they are driven by this jealousy, by the desire to take our territories, to take our resources. And they are also being driven by fear of Russia. Russia is big. Russia is a civilization by itself. Russia is a very specific country, and you need to know how to deal with it. But Russia is not aggressive. Russia is not threatening anyone. If you really do not threaten Russia, and if you are ready to take Russian interests into account, we're a big country, and it implies a lot of things that we need to have in terms of security system. And we try to be very vocal in this regard for many years. We tried to make our course to explain what is the problem. But unfortunately, we were not listened to, and we are where we are. So now it's a big uphill battle for our generation of diplomats to deal with this and to find a solution, which will not be an easy process. Randy, I'm afraid I need to go.
Okay.
So I really want to thank everyone for discussion and for good questions.
All right, Ambassador Polyanskiy, thank you so much. You gentlemen want to say goodbye? You may not.
Dmitry, good luck. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Likewise. Thank you.
Larry?
Thank you. I'm very glad to hear you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Larry, bye.
All right. Larry, you're still there? Did we lose Larry?
No, Larry should be there.
I think Larry's on phone. All right.
You know what? I'll get him back.
All right. So, Andrei, let's talk about the reality on the battlefield. You touched on it a little bit. There are 2.1 million have died. Ukrainians. Where are they on the contact line? Can you give us an overview of that?
You mean where are they? I mean they.
I mean,
are.
where does it stand right now?
Okay. Yeah, we have the situation which essentially the operation, which would be called Kramatorsk-Slaviansk agglomeration liberation operation, essentially is beginning, and that will be a huge one because many people do not understand, and I want to make sure before I go, because I need to go in 7 minutes about that, is that essentially when they talk about Konstantinovka, which is now completely controlled, liberated, and Russian forces basically mopping up the remnants of the fanatics which are left there, is that it was, they call it village. Well, it was a very interesting village which had by 2022 population of more than 70,000 people. Now, if you take a look at now Russians approaching and fire controlling Drushkovka, which in itself a large settlement, you also have Kramatorsk, which is 150,000 population prior to the special military operation, and Slaviansk, another 141,000 population. So you look at about, if you put together everything, area of 500,000 people, and they know this is the last line and reinforced area for armed forces of Ukraine. After that, after Slaviansk and Kramatorsk, it is pretty much steppe. It is pretty much prairie. You cannot defend it. And so that is why so much activity and propaganda and attacks on the civilians in Russia, because that's the only thing they can do. They cannot stop it. And we have now a situation developing in Sumy, and there's a lot of things going on. And Zaporozhye is being pummeled like I never seen before that. Today there were like sustained attacks on the military infrastructure and energy infrastructure of the Zaporozhye, and believe me, they are afraid. Zaporozhye is not even Mariupol and is not even the Slaviansk Kramatorsk, however important area. Right. Zaporozhye, it is and was major industrial city, not just in Ukraine, but in the Soviet Union. And so you have this agglomeration of 750,000 million people. So you have to keep in mind what's going to happen when it's going to be liberated. And it is going to be liberated. Russians are now within the 10 kilometers from its suburbs. So the movement is constant, continued every day. And as the result, the more the panic, the more hatred, the more terrorist attacks on the Russian civilians, because this is the only thing combined West is capable of.
Wow. All right, Larry, before I go to you, because I know, Andrei, you both have to leave shortly, but I just want to, my gratitude for first time in a long time on this show, someone did not quote Sun Tzu or Clausewitz, okay? That's a new rule. No Clausewitz or Sun Tzu quotes. You can do Thucydides or Hobbes, but not those other two. All right, Larry, where are you, Larry? Larry, you mentioned today...
Yeah, I'm back. I got dropped off somehow.
You did? All right.
NSA must have been interfering.
Well, you never leave the CIA, Larry. Maybe it was the CIA. They have a domestic spying operation, don't they?
Listen, trust me. I left the CIA, and not even with a pension. So I'm.
Oh, you're good.
Years behind me.
Right. All right. So, Larry, I heard you talking earlier today. We spoke about this after that interview. That this escalation. You are hearing voices out there inside Russia. Urging or actually. Prophets saying that they're going to strike back. How would that look? And what would be the repercussions of striking some of these cities, or not cities, but countries that are manufacturing and sending these weapons of destruction to Ukraine?
Well, I think it's going to start with a warning, even firmer than what has already been issued to Kiev, that warning Western diplomats to get out of town, vacate the town, because it's going to be targeted. But beyond that, I think, again, the general staff is not calling me up for advice, nor is the foreign ministry. But it seem to me that it would be in line for Russia to issue a very clear black and white warning to NATO that in the future, going forward, any KC-135, what they call rivet joints, which is an airplane used to collect intelligence, any drone activity, even if it's in international airspace, that Russia will consider that a threat and will act accordingly.
Wow.
Put them on notice and warn them, then start shooting them down.
All right.
And at the same time, identify targets in the UK and just warn them these operations must be shut down, or we're going to shut them down for you.
Well, do you have anything to add to that? I know you got to leave in 2 minutes, Andrei.
I mean, Larry is correct, but I think if it comes down in specific strike places, Russian Defense Ministry already published those list of targets, essentially, those enterprises which work in favor of basically supply the parts for the Ukrainian military, primarily drones and some other components. But do not forget, British have this wonderful Cyprus Air Force-based acrotary, which probably will be gone within like 20 minutes once it starts. And then we can speak a lot of things, but you have to also keep in mind that in the latest tranche by the European Union, which happened 2 days ago, of the another money, 5.2 billion euros. You can read it in the English-speaking press. It's all over the place. It was specifically told that it's not going to finance any drones. So the message is delivered, okay? They know the message. And even incompetent European militaries and NATO, they understand what it all, basically, involves in case Russians decide to deal with that. And yes, Russia is ready for the war with NATO. Many people still do not understand. Russians fighting Ukraine merely as the proxy of NATO before they will deal with NATO and will finish it off, But that is the whole other story because it has everything to do with the technological aspect or dimension of the strategy. And it's a long, long talk, let's put it this way. But yes, there are criteria for essentially striking Europe. There will be no war. Europe has no resources to really fight Russia. But criteria, to a large extent, have been already met. If you look at Russian foundation of the Russia's state policy in the field of the nuclear containment and, of course, Russia's military doctrine, much of the criteria have been met, and so as the result, if Europe doesn't understand, it will learn the hard way, and the United States will not be able to do anything about it unless it wants to escalate to the nuclear threshold, and that means it will cease to exist. Russia obviously will be damaged horrendously, but there are all other things which are happening there, which of the technological nature, so which I don't have to expound on that, but it will take like the course of lectures, like many hours of lectures.
Wow. Yes, I know. Andrei, thank you so much. I know you've got to go. Your books, get his books at Clarity Press, right? Clarity Press. And you can see him twice every other day at Smoothie X12 on YouTube. And I watch it. I wait for it. And sometimes I wish it was on every single day, but it's not, and it's 35 minutes, jam-packed with information. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon, Andrei. All right.
Bye-bye. Larry,
right.
bye.
All right. Larry,
Andrei,
I know you got to leave in a minute or two. Before you go, Larry, I wanted to focus a little bit on, first of all, this $15 billion that was given in cash to Ukraine by the U.S. a couple of years ago. That and the level of corruption around the Zelensky Ukraine junta. Can you just and you mentioned this, the black market sales on this show earlier. The black market spreading these weapons into dangerous hands.
Well, the money's moving out of Ukraine. It's being actually hand carried by relatives and associates of Zelensky. Some of the money's gone to Latvia and Lithuania, and then made its way from there into Israeli banks. Some of it has gone to the United Arab Emirates. And from there, again, through a laundering process. And what I mean by that is money's deposited into an account. That account is used to purchase real estate at a low price. That real estate then gets the price run up through some sort of Ponzi scheme. So they sell at a profit, and then those proceeds are presented as the proceeds from a legitimate real estate deal. Those proceeds are then sent to Israel, again to a bank. And from there, some of the money is paid into the accounts of members of Congress, both senators and Republicans.
Richard Blumenthal and I think indefinitely Graham of South Carolina, but Blumenthal definitely is on the payroll.
I've been told specifically that Lindsey Graham and
Richard Blumenthal,
Chuck Schumer, Lindsey Graham and Chuck Schumer have received money.
All right. Well,
I've been told that specifically.
What? I'm shocked. There's gambling going on here in this casino. All right, Larry, you're.
Thank you, Claude. Thank you, Claude Rains.
Thank you, Claude. Yes. Why are you closing this place down? I'm shocked. There's gambling going on here. Oh, your profits, Mr. Whatever his name was. Oh, thank you. All right, Larry, you're on in 5 minutes. Folks, you can watch the Judge Napolitano with Larry and with Ray McGovern later on, all right? Go to YouTube and watch it later on because I know it's going to be good. And Sonar 21, Larry, right?
Sonar 21 and Transition Protocol.
Oh, that's great. I wanted to talk about that. You've broken a lot of stories, you and Pepe Escobar. It's called, what's that other one with you and Pepe?
Transition Protocol.
Right. And 7 others that you do a day, but that one is a new one and Countercurrents as well, right? Larry Johnson, You're the best, all right?
All right, my friend.
I'll talk to you later, and we're going to go out